What's going on, everybody? This is Paul, your hip hop relationship and recovery coach, bringing to you again another episode of Kick Your Butt Out. Before I get off into what we're going to talk about today, I want to say what I always say, and I strongly encourage for you to get this into your hearing so that you can incorporate this into your life. That is, if you looking for a butt, it's going to always be easy to find one. It's just that simple. All right. Let's get off into what we're going to talk about today. I want to start by taking a phrase or quote that I often hear Les Brown say. I want to give a shout out to Les Brown because he's definitely one of the motivators and encouragement for me doing what it is that I do in terms of purpose and a profession today. One of the things that I hear him say quite often when he's doing a talk is he says, my favorite book. And I want to say, my favorite book has a passage of scripture in it that says, a man's gifts makes room for him and brings him before great men. I want to make sure that I don't sound like a male chauvinist or sexist. And I want to include women in this because I know many women who are gifted. I know many women who are great. So I'm going to say it like this, without taking away from the context of this passage of scripture. A man or a woman's gifts makes room for them and brings them before great men and great women. Let me say it like that. And the reason why I'm mentioning that scripture is because for many of us, our gifts either has us in rooms with great men or great women, or are leading us to go to rooms with great men and great women. And I want to say, although we are going to be or already are in these great rooms, but it's not enough to just be in the rooms. And the reason why I say that is because there are certain mindsets or thought processes that has to go into these rooms with us. One in particular should never go in the rooms with us. And let me say that again. One of these thought processes or mindsets should never go into these rooms with us. Let me tell you a story. From my own experience, I'm gonna be the first to confess this. I was at an event with greatness. I'm talking about in this room, right, was millions of years of greatness and priceless gifts. Like you couldn't put a price on the gifts that the men and the women had, and the greatness that the men and the women had that were in these rooms. It was that powerful, right? And I was there because I was sent there. Two other people that I want to quote before I go off into telling my experience. Pastor Keon, as a matter of fact, I came across I had the opportunity, the honor and the privilege of coming across him speaking in that same weekend. And one of the things that he said was, the reason why you are here it's because it's your turn or it's your time. And I want to also take a quote from Jessica Yaffa. Jessica Yaffa said, you're in the room because you're supposed to be here. So I'm saying all that to say this. I want to kill the thought process, but I'm not good enough. Let me kill that right now. because you're here because it's your turn or your time, and you're here because you're supposed to be here. So I was in the room with all of this greatness, with all of these gifts. I was obviously being the gift myself, according to the scriptures, being the gift myself. And one of the things that you'll know about me, if you ever see me in these rooms personally, is that when I go into the rooms, I'm looking for the front row or the seat that's closest to the stage, because somebody had told me years ago along my journey that the leaders sit up front. I'm gonna say that again. Somebody had told me a few years ago along this journey that the leaders sit up front. So I went in there as a humble leader, right? Not a leader from a standpoint of being proud and boastful. I went in there to learn something as a leader. And I sat in the front row. I got my notes out, my pen and my pad out, because I am a good note taker. So two things you're going to know about me when I go into these rooms with these great men and great women. If there's a front row seat, I'm there, and I'm going to take some good notes. All right. So I'm in this, I'm at this event with all of this greatness and all of these gifts, and I'm in the front row, and I'm taking these wonderful notes, and it was the greatness was so profound in this room that I had kind of lost track of the purpose for me being there, and I focused on let me take pictures with all of this greatness, so that when I get home, I could put all of these pictures of me with this greatness on my social media platforms for promotion. Let me say that again. I had shifted my mindset to let me make sure that I take pictures with all of this greatness, so that when I get home, I could post on social media, on my social media platforms and pages, that I had taken pictures with all this greatness, so that people could see me in the room with all this greatness. But every time it said it like this, but it's not enough to just be in the rooms. And so after I had taken those pictures and the event was over and I got all of this wonderful stuff that I was able to get, I met some people. We talked about their greatness. We talked about my greatness. We made some connections. We did all of these wonderful things. And as I was on my way back home, in my mind, I'm preparing how I'm going to utilize these pictures with this greatness and put them on my social media platforms. I'm going to send this to my social media people when I get home and get them to set this thing up the right way and put it on my social media platforms so everybody can see that I've been in the room with all of this greatness. Here's what God said to me when I was on the airplane. He said, for what? And then what? Now, me in my minute, in my little thinking, said, okay, God, I want to make sure that was you who said that. When I already knew that it was him who said it. He said it again. For what? And then what? And so at that moment, what I learned was this is the mindset that you are never supposed to go into these rooms with, because many of us do it. I'm in this room because if for nothing else, I'm in this room to make sure that I take pictures with all of this greatness so that I could put it on my social media platforms and let people know that I was in the room with all of this greatness. That's a mindset that you never take into any of these rooms. There's greatness in these rooms. You have gifts. That's minimal. That's another sign, another way of saying I'm in these rooms, and sometimes that but could be, I'm in these rooms, but I don't feel like I'm good enough. So the least that I'm going to do is take pictures with these people and let people, so people can know that I've been in the room with some of this greatness. And again, that mindset is to never go into these rooms. This is what God had revealed to me and showed me. And with him saying that and revealing that to me, I put not one of those pictures on my social media platforms. I still have the pictures recorded in my telephone, and I will never use any one of those pictures for social media purposes, because I had not went into the room with the mindset, but I had grabbed a hold of that mindset that this is what I'm going to do. And that's totally not the reason. That's totally a no-no. Let me say it like that. For one of the reasons why you are in these rooms. Like I said, Pastor Keon said, you're in the room because it's your turn or your time. Jessica Yaffa said, you're in the room because you are supposed to be there. So it brings me to the second mindset. Now, again, the first one, never. That's a never, never, never. They say never say never. I'm saying never, 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 never. Now, if you end up taking a picture, that's fine. Let that never be your purpose. Okay. Number two. Again, Eric Thomas says, but being in the rooms, sometimes it's not enough. So the second mindset or the second thought process must be, am I in these rooms because I'm supposed to drop off some gifts, grab some greatness, and move on to the next room? Let me say that again. Am I in this room or these rooms? Is it because to drop off some gifts, grab some greatness, and move on to the next room? And the reason why I'm saying that is because many times we develop a mindset of, because I'm in a room with this greatness, I need to stay here. And quite often, that's not the case. You're supposed to drop something off, grab something, keep it moving. And many of us, what happens is, for whatever our reasons, sometimes the reason is, again, we don't feel like we're good enough to go to the next room. Or we're so elated by the room that we're in, we think that this is it. This is my it. And more often than not, that's not the case. And so we'll get in these rooms, and we're supposed to be passing through, right? We'll set up shop. We'll let the anchor down. We'll pitch a tent. It's almost like going over to your friend's house or going over to somebody's house and never leaving. Pretty much just moving in. And that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Because again, you know how it goes. You visit somebody, you're supposed to visit and leave, because people will get tired of you. Let me say that. People will get tired of you being at their house and wonder when you're going home. And in these rooms, that happens as well. Because again, like I said, we're supposed to be in the room to drop off the gift, grab some greatness, and move to the next room. So the mindset or the thought process has to be, okay, what is my purpose or what is my focus? What my focus needs to be as to why I'm here at this particular time. What am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be giving? What am I supposed to be getting? Am I supposed to keep it moving, or do I supposed to drop the anchor? Which brings me to the third mindset or thought process that has to be had when we're going into these rooms with these great men and great women bringing our gifts. The third thought process or mindset is, I'm in this room, or you're in this room because eventually you're supposed to have a seat at the table. Let me say that again. I'm in this room, or you're in this room because eventually you're supposed to have a seat at the table. Here's one of the buts that we have to kick out, because that may be your reason for being in the room, but because you don't feel like you're enough, but because you don't feel like you fit in, but because, and I'll get to that, I'll get deeper into the immature part of it, or the immature thought process a little bit later, because you're immature, you never get a seat. You never end up sitting at the table like you were supposed to be, or like you were meant to be. So again, you have to find out, am I in here because I'm supposed to eventually have a seat at the table? And many of us, we miss, or we prolong getting a seat at the table from an immature standpoint. Let me put it to you like this. Many of you out there are familiar with or know of, when you have family gatherings, whether it's, Thanksgiving dinner, Christmas dinner, or whatever big gatherings that you have, you'll have, it's often a table for all of the adults, and then you have a section or a table for all of the children. And quite often, watch this is funny, but not funny. Quite often, you'll have a big kid sitting at the little kid's table, sticking out like a sore thumb because he's too big, or she's too big to be sitting at that table, but they're not mature enough to be at the big table. And many of us, because of our mindsets or our thought processes, we're in the room, we're supposed to be sitting at the table with the grown-ups, but because we are so immature, we haven't been allowed to sit, or we haven't proven that we're capable enough of sitting at the grown-up table, so we're still sitting at the table with the little kids, and we the big kid that's sticking out like a sore thumb because this table doesn't even fit. Did I make sense with that? I hope I did. Because that's what happens in some of these rooms that we go into. We're supposed to be there in that room. We're supposed to have a seat at the table, but because of all of the buts, I'm not consistent, but I'm not accountable, but I'm not committed. But I'm doing this other thing, but I'm doing that other thing, but I'm doing, this, that, or the other. I'm doing all of these other things except equipping myself with what I need to equip myself with to sit at the table that I'm supposed to be sitting at. I'm still sitting at the table with the little kids. And I'm missing all of the food that I'm supposed to be getting, watch this, and that I'm supposed to be giving. Because again, like I said, when we go, a man's gifts makes room for him. A man or woman's gifts makes room for them. So at this table, I'm a gift, or I have a gift to give, and brings them before great men and women. And the great men and women are supposed to give me some of that greatness. I miss that because I'm still immature year after year after year. No matter how big I'm getting, I'm still so immature that I'm sitting at the table with the little kids, looking like a sore thumb. So, my question, or your question to you, has to be, which one am I? Which one am I practicing? Which one of these thought processes or mindsets am I up under? Like I said, the first one is a never. Never go into the room just so I can say, but I was in the room with such and such and so and so. Never go into the room with that mindset. Second one, if you're supposed to be passing through, dropping off something, getting something, find out what that is. Do that. Move to the next room. If you're supposed to, the third one, if you're supposed to be in the room sitting at the table, do what you need to do to make sure that you get at that table. Because like I said, at the end of the day, gifts, greatness. Gifts, greatness. It has to be an exchange going on here. And my pastor says it like this. Somebody needs your yes. Somebody's waiting on your yes. So somebody may be waiting on you to sit at the table. Somebody may be waiting on you to pass through that room and get to the room that you need to be in because they're waiting on you to come. And everybody needs you to not just be in the room. Everybody needs you to kick your butt out as it relates to, I'm just in the room with greatness. Because that is not the reason why we are there. Everybody, please hear what I'm saying. Let's have some conversations around this. Because like I said, I know that I'm not unique in this. I'm not the only one. This is not an anomaly. And I want to help some people like God has helped me to get past the barriers that we have set up in front of ourselves by reaching for mediocrity when we are gifted and in the room with greatness. Let me say it like this. Many of us, when we were living beneath who we are or who we are meant to be, we didn't do that from a mediocre standpoint. We were a high-level dysfunction. We were a high-level messy. We were a high-level out of our element at high levels. Why should we come into this greatness, come into these gifts, and be mediocre and be ordinary, and allow these buts to be put in our way, to become obstacles for the greatness and the gifts that awaits us, that's in us and that awaits us. It doesn't make sense to me anymore. I've been that person. Let me say that, be the first to raise my hand. I've been that person. I'm not that person anymore. And I want to do whatever I can so that we can help each other never be that person. Again, don't ever go into the rooms so you can say, but I was in the room with greatness. That's never supposed to be a mindset. Ever, ever, ever. So, thank you all again for joining in on this podcast. I appreciate all the love, all the support, all the followers, all the subscribers. Post, comment, subscribe, share this with other people because, again, I know for a fact that there's many of you out there who have gifts that's supposed to be in the room with greatness that are not there. And that if you are there, your mindset is not where it needs to be. So let's help one another. Iron sharpens iron. Again, my favorite book. As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens the countenance of another, or a woman. With that being said, as usual, y'all, if you're looking for a butt, it's going to always be easy to find one. I love everybody out there, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. This is Paul, your hip-hop relationship and recovery coach, and I'm going to sign out and see y'all later.